So that is Genichiro, and now you have options. But first, we have to look at these beautiful views, because they're amazing. And this whole fucking game looks good. The whole thing looks amazing. So yeah, now you have options. You can go to Senpou and do the folding screen monkeys, talk to the divine ear, get the mortal blade. You can go to Mibu, do the corrupted monk, and get the item that you need for Kuro here, and be able to breathe underwater. You can go to the guardian ape, get the white lotus flower. Now the game will change slightly depending on some decisions that you make. I want to say, and you can actually me all you want, I'm not entirely sure on this, that if you fight the guardian ape, after you beat him, the phantom enemies will start showing up. That I don't know if that's the trigger for like the dusk, like the nighttime. I'm not sure, but at some point the phantom fencers and some of the other phantom enemies will start showing up. But I'm not entirely sure what triggers that. It's not a problem. I mean, they're easy as fuck to deal with. So it's not like the game gets harder or anything like that. Some enemies will just get introduced in certain areas that weren't before. I am going to Senpou here to get the Mortal Blade, because the Mortal Blade wrecks Guardian Ape, and I like things that wreck. So here is where you go talk to Ishin. This is why you had to do the Tengu quest earlier, so that Ishin will spawn here, because, surprise, Tengu and Ishin are the same. So yeah, I will be going to Senpou now. After I talk to Ishin, and then you go back and talk to Kuro, and get the Gunfort Shrine Key. Now, if you had done Lady Butterfly, and for the first time, like in New Game, or whenever, the first time you do Lady Butterfly, you will get the, oh, god damn it, I think it's the Sakura Droplet, which will give you the second revive. Is this correct? Yes. And you can give it to Kuro here. Yep. So get all the dialogue out of the way. Now you can go through either one of these doors and go wherever the fuck you want to go. I just idle back to the Ashina Castle. That's just the way I do it. And I'm not going to show every little side quest or nook and cranny here or there. I will point things out as I go, but I'm not doing like a 100% run. This is just how I like to run it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I had mentioned that I think that Sekiro is the easiest of the From, games. And I do believe that. I think it's even easier than Dark Souls 2, which I think is the easiest Souls game by a wide margin. I love them all, but I think just to say that one is easier, or to try and rank them by difficulty, is difficult, because this game was harder to master, not to say that I really mastered it, than any of the Souls games. So right here, you'll get the Gatehouse Key from this guy, and that's how you get Gyobu's Horn, is this right? To get the spear prosthetic, and you will get it over there. So right here, the gatehouse is over there. You can do a little jump off of those rocks, off of that wall right there, and grapple to a point that is where you will. There's the hole in the ground. How you get to Mibu. You will fight the lone shadow in like the little narrow arena, and you just avoid all of the enemies and everything in that area, and that's also where you get to the Moonview Tower where Seven Spears is, but you can just avoid it if you want. You don't have to. So yeah, I think I don't know that I don't think it's exactly accurate to say that I think this is like the easiest Souls game, because the deflect mechanic and some of the bosses were much more difficult to really quote unquote master, to really wrap my head around, than a lot of other bosses. But I feel like once I did, the game was no longer very challenging, which I don't know that that's necessarily the same for, hell, I don't know, like Sorta in the Dark Souls 2 DLC in Broom. That fight to me always feels very, no matter how many times I've done it, and it's been a lot, now that fight always feels like challenging in some way. Or Gale still feels somewhat challenging in Dark Souls 3. Lawrence in the Old Hunters of Bloodborne. So in that way, Sekiro is easier because after a certain point, nothing really feels challenging that much anymore. Maybe Demon Hatred sometimes. Maybe Sword Saint might still be a little exhilarating. But this was certainly the hardest game to really wrap my head around, you know. But I think because its focus is so narrow on like the one mechanic, once you know that mechanic, that's kind of the game, you know? So I don't know that it's necessarily fair to say that I think it's the easiest and therefore it's like an objectively easy game. That's not true. But no, fuck it. I mean, it's the easiest like Soulsy game for me. Now, if you want to farm for like Akko's sugars or anything, this is the place to do it. The monks will drop Akko's if you want them. This is also where you will kill the snake. So there are lots of items around here. You can explore and wreck shop, kill everything. I don't. I just run it. I just run to Armored Warrior. So this is where you would kill the snake and get the snake heart. I'm not sure which one you get. I don't think it's the dried one. You get two though. Right here is where you would grapple to the snake if you did Puppeteer and the little rat at the beginning of the level. I don't do any of that. But there's a lot going on in Senpou that I'm not really gonna do. These enemies right here can be kind of a pain in the dick. I firecracker him, get the Gachin, and just grapple like a madman. Now right here, something unfortunate happens. The little enemy, the little rat enemy, whatever the fuck you want to call him with the giant hat. Now, when I grapple up here, I would say 9 times out of 10, he doesn't notice me. Like, he won't aggro to me, and I can just do a death blow. Right here, however, unfortunately, he notices me, and it turns into a shit show. I don't die. I almost die. And I got very irritated that it went sideways the way that it did. And that irritation carried over into Armored Warrior. So, bit of a spoiler, I don't die to Armored Warrior. But the way that I fought him, motherfucker, I should have. It was not pleasant. So once you get up here and you grapple up, if you go to the left, you will see a bunch of pinwheels. And if you follow that all the way up to like the point, you will get the red and white pinwheel that you might want if you do a certain side quest. So Armored Warrior, okay, I'll say this. The first time that I fought Armored Warrior, very first run, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what you were supposed to do, you know what I'm saying? And I died, like a lot. Well, I don't know about a lot, but I died enough. I would say since then, since my very first run of the game, this might be the worst Armored Warrior fight I've had. It's that bad. Because every mistake that you can possibly make, I make. So please don't do what I do. Just, I don't want to say do what I say, but don't do what I do. So his posture fills relatively quickly if you're doing deflects. And all you have to do is position him next to one of these walls and kick him off the fucking bridge. That's all you gotta do. You'd think it'd be easy, but god damn it if I don't do... My god. I think it takes me like 5 death blows before I finally knock him off this motherfucker. And it's so annoying that it went as south as it did. But, you know, I mean, that's how these games go, man. Sometimes the easiest bosses can just give you some trouble, you know. Sometimes you'll get a no-hit on Orphan, and sometimes the witches kill you. So, I don't know. So, this whole thing is a shit show. Apologies. It's not as bad as my Shadows run in Bloodborne. But it's definitely not pleasant. And one thing that I'm doing here that you really don't need to do, and I will admit that I'm doing this, I am spamming deflect here because I really think that the rat thing just fucked with me. So I'm spamming deflect, which you don't want to do. You want to be far more precise and try to get him. It's not hard to really position it. Well, I say it's not hard, but fuck. I think the way that I'm playing here would suggest otherwise. You know what I'm saying? You really want to try and position him not like what I just did, where he hits one of these fucking pillars. You want to get him in a good spot so you can knock him off the fucking bridge. It's that simple. And I think right here I finally do. Jesus fucking Christ. There it is. Yay. So the Armored Warrior is a really cool change up to the flow of the game, I think. Mixes it up. A different kind of enemy. There's some lore there with Robert's firecrackers. And I wish they had gone a bit deeper into that. Offered maybe a bit more lore, because I think it's really fascinating. So right here, if you had done Mibu and the Corrupted Monk and could breathe underwater, you can jump in the water down here, and there are some carp scales, treasure carp scales if you want to get them, and I think a prayer bead and some text that you would give to the divine heir to get one of the endings. The ending that's the most tedious to get, that requires the most legwork, which I will not be doing. I've done it once, and it was super cool, and it was interesting, but it's not like it opens up any new bosses or anything more than what you would get by doing any other ending path beyond Shura. So, fuck it. I mean, if you're doing that, you're doing Father Al and Fountainhead. So fuck it. So now we get to do the folding screen monkeys, and the way that the folding screen monkeys are done is somewhat specific, and I don't die or anything, but I do make a mistake and end up quitting out to reset it, because the way that I like to do it goes very quick, and if I fuck it up, then I have to chase a monkey, and I'm not fucking doing that. So I use a gachine before I ring the bell, and that's important because if you use the gachine sugar when you enter the arena, the fire monkey, at least in my experience, will aggro a little bit and will notice you, and you might have to chase him around, and I'm not chasing monkeys. I want this fight over. As much as I love it, and as much as I really respect the mechanic, and I think it's one of the coolest bosses in the FromSoft catalog, I don't like it when it goes off the rails and I have to fucking chase these little bastards around. I don't like it. So here I will Firecracker the green monkey and Deathblow. Now, the mistake that I make here is grappling up here, because you will notice that you see he ran, and my lock-on goes to one of the terror monkeys instead of the purple monkey. Now normally you could just jump up, fall down, use a firecracker, and it would stun him. But I wasted too much time and he ran away. And I knew at this point that I was just going to have to chase this motherfucker. I made the mistake of using the bell that sends you back to the beginning of the arena, and that's not what I wanted, unfortunately. But I thought, well, since I did that, maybe I could grapple over there and catch him off guard, because he's just right there, you can see him. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way, and he starts to run again, and I said, fuck this 100%, and I'm just gonna bone out and just go back to Senpou and just start the whole thing over again. Unfortunately, the terror monkeys see me and they kick me out of this, and they almost kill me because of the terror buildup. Now, if I had gotten killed by these fucking monkeys and died in this particular boss fight, I would have been super annoyed, because you shouldn't be dying to the folding screen monkeys. This isn't a boss where you should die. This is a boss where you should maybe get stuck, maybe a bit irritated that you're having to chase them, but you shouldn't be dying here. So I bone out, I go back to Senpou, I use another gachine, and then go back. If you don't have gachine's sugar, you're free as fuck to go buy some. There are the mobs that sell them. But if you don't want to do it this way, if you just want to fight the folding screen monkeys as is, there are tricks that you can use. It will take longer. The first time I did the folding screen monkeys, I didn't do any of this shit. It will take longer, but it's not challenging. You just have to chase these little fucking monkeys. So, yeah, death blow the fire monkey, grapple to the tree, firecrackers, death blow the green monkey. Now, this is what I should have done the first time. Grapple up to this branch, and then turn left, and then grapple up behind the purple monkey. And this time we get him. Yay! So yeah, super awesome fight, I think, but not one that I want to be wasting a lot of time on, because it can get tedious and a little boring. But I think the way it was implemented was really, 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 really good. So now we get the Mortal Blade, and then after this, I'm probably going to run Mibu. I might clear up some other enemies, I'm not sure. Now, there was a Centipede Giraffe mini-boss that I completely just ran past in Senpou. He does give a prayer bead. There is another Centipede Giraffe shortly before, right before you use the Gunforge Shrine Key. And it's the same fucking enemy. And I will have to do that one. I may come back to Senpou and clean up that mini-boss. Maybe, maybe not. But they are the easiest, well, not the easiest, I mean Miss Noble, but they're one of the easiest mini-bosses in the game. So you shouldn't be struggling with the Centipede Giraffe. So yeah, I mean, that's Senpou. It's a beautiful area. It goes pretty quick. It's a good place to farm for Akko's sugars if you want them. It's a good place if you really want to grind and farm. It's a good place for XP as well, if you really want to. I don't think that there's a need to, but if you're the kind of player that really enjoys that, there you go. It's a good place to get that done. There's a really good side quest there. If you want to do that, you can kill the snake there, if you want to do that. So there's a lot going on in Senpou that I just don't do, and I'm not going to do in this run. So that's Senpou, and next we will be running up to Mibu, which I have thoughts on because I think that it is somewhat reminiscent of Bloodborne in a couple of ways. So yeah, way to go, Senpou.